All right. So as I tried to tell you all 3 days ago, Dubas will not be coming back. Chris Johnston, Elliot Friedman, they're all liars. All these guys saying that he was negotiating a contract. He was not negotiating a contract. He was never offered one, people. He was never offered one. When Tannenbaum went there last year to get him a new contract, they said no. And it was a prove me season. What did the Leafs prove to you? That they do the same thing every year. They get all these old, washed up players like Ryan O'Reilly. Oh, I know, he won the Conn Smythe. That was 5 years ago, people. 5 years ago. Not yesterday, not today, not last year. 5 years ago. He'll be 33 the next season. Sign him all you want. You understand that Tavares is old and slow. These are all signings of Dubas. And Dubas gave away a lot of picks. A lot of picks. Where he really screwed up was, we all know he needs defense. If you look at this defense core that he brought in, they're all washed up players. Gio, Muzzin, Brody. These are all guys that were not good enough to play for Daryl Sutter. Brought in Campbell. Guess what? Wasn't good enough to fucking play for Sutter. So, he brings in Bunting, and everybody thinks Bunting's good. No, he's not. He's a liability. There's a reason why it took him 10 years to make it in the NHL. Because he's not an NHL hockey player. You look at all Dubas's trades, guess what? We're very good. We're very good at all. Go look at his draft picks. How many are in the NHL right today? In the last 5 years? None of them. You got Liljegren that was part-time in the playoffs. That's not an NHL hockey player. They shipped Sandin off. They wouldn't play him in the playoffs. Not an NHL hockey player. Yeah, I got to take those cans to the dump. So, this team didn't get better with Dubas and with Keith. At all. They were a playoff team, and they were going toe-to-toe with Boston. You went from going toe-to-toe with Boston to not making the playoffs against, what do you call them? Columbus. Every year we hear the same thing. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. You got guys almost hitting 40 on your defense. That's not good. You signed Morgan Riley to a $7.5 million contract. For what? So he's one of the guys I'd get rid of. Morgan Riley. He could probably bring in a nice young defenseman. But yeah, when Dubas a couple years back had a chance to draft a good, solid defenseman, stay at home, what Toronto's always whining and crying about, and Brendan Schneider, sorry, and he decided to go with a small Russian hockey player that will never play hockey again. So, all this adds up. It all adds up. Look at the dog. She's even rolling in it. You're not buying the BS no more, are you, girl? I think she's rolling in squirrel piss or rabbit piss. Yeah. Watch. She's going to go do it again. But yeah, that's what happened. And I'm not surprised, motherfuckers, in the words of Nate Diaz. But I did a video 3 days ago saying why they were all lying. Because they started off saying Tannenbaum went in there and they weren't going to give him one. So why would I... So if they didn't give him one back in the summer, why would they give him one now? Beat up an old washed up Tampa team. Toronto only wishes they could have a decade that they had. And the way Leaf fans talk is like, they won the cup. Let's get it. I didn't even see any of yous at the fucking first round winning parade. Like, that was a victory, wasn't it? These players aren't, like, what the culture that Dubas brought in here was an unaccountable. You could do whatever you want. There's a video online on YouTube. It's very, very telling about the culture in Toronto. All the Leafs are asked a bunch of questions. And a question that they're all asked, even William Nylander, so you already know what the answer is going to be from the other players. Who holds the team up for meetings? Who's always late? And like if they're always waiting on somebody, it's always one person. It's William Nylander. And he's never been held accountable. And we know he's missed meetings and never been punished for it. He missed them with Babcock, was punished for them. And he got a talking to by Keefe a couple times. So when your whole team says, hey, this guy here is the reason why we're not on the plane on time, or we're not on the ice on time. It comes back to William Nylander, people. So I wouldn't have traded him and I wouldn't have signed him. You guys are going to say he's got a great deal. No, he doesn't. You score half your points, half your points on the damn power play, and that's the only time you really show up. People are going to say, oh, he scored a tying goal. Yeah, where was he the rest of the game? Where was he in overtime? Like I say, he shows up at convenience. Because they bitched about him halfway through the season. Well, he got 40 goals. Half of them are on the power play. Paying a guy $7 million to be a power play specialist is just a waste of money. You could have got 3 players for that. 2 defensemen and a winger. Or a centerman. So what Toronto really needs to do is sign and trade probably Nylander. What I'd try and do is, honestly, package up Matthews and Nylander, or Nylander and Riley. I think you could probably pull off, if they're smart and the NHL smart, you make Austin and Matthews, and I hate to say it, you make him the highest paid player in the league. You send him and Nylander down to Arizona. Now you got a face of a franchise. Hometown boy. He's got himself a winger. And you take all their picks. You take, who's the defenseman they got there that's always hurt, but he's pretty decent when he's playing. Churchrin. Man, oh man, all the names ain't like they used to be, are they? I'm getting old. But yeah, I don't know. You guys, I'm going to ask you guys to leave comments. Tell me what you think. Dubas out in Toronto, which I knew was coming. I reported this 3 days ago. But hey, all these nut huggers of the Leafs, Dubas lovers, you know. And what Toronto benefited from too was, remember, they had the pretty easy schedule with the North. They got beat by Montreal. Yikes. That's not good when the 31st overall team in the league beats you. So, and then they got beat by Florida. So, you know how it is. You guys know how it is. I think if you really take a look and break down every individual game, you'll start to see some players ain't what you think they are. Showing up every other game. They got to keep Marner. He's the engine he's like the little engine that can. And I think they wore him out the way they have him playing. I think they just wore him out. I said this to a buddy of mine. It's like they play this outside possession game and they expect him to do everything. He's the best defensive player in the team. What they need to do is get him some real leadership there. Real leadership. Like how how Ottawa went and got Giroux. A couple others. They need to surround him. If you go back to Sidney Crosby, what'd they do when Sid and them weren't doing so great? They went and they got some veterans around them. Good, solid, hard-hitting, fighting veterans, so Sid didn't have to push back all the time. We all know Sid will push back, and the Leafs have no pushback. So, yeah, you guys, I'm gonna eat some lunch. Just got back in from looking at a house, saw the news. Didn't hear it on the radio, but saw it on the news. I felt something was gonna be up by noon. But you guys have a great day. Happy May 2 for it.